So this video was on something that I was looking up earlier. It was about is it a bad thing being hard on your child or sheltering them to try to keep them out of trouble? And some people believe that it could be a bad thing and others don't. Well, from my experience, I think it's a good thing if you're hard on your kid and you keep them sheltered and don't really give them that freedom to run wild. Because I know when I was younger, I was able to kind of run around a lot. My mom would try to kind of keep me in locked like in at a certain time, but I would just take off anyways. But a lot of that had to do with being on drugs at the time. And a lot of parents always want better for their kids. So on one of the videos I made, one of the subscribers, she had left a couple of comments. She said, as a mother of two boys, 26 and 15 years old, and I had my first son at 14 years old, this is exactly why I have always stayed on my kid's neck as far as who they hang out with, etc. Some say I'm on my youngest too much, but as a mother, that's my job to make sure that he stays clear of the BS and gangs. My kids are squares because I have sheltered them from the streets and people that mean them no good. And I'm happy with that. I'm raising men, not punks. So I don't see how anybody could say that that could be a bad thing as sheltering when it's raising her kids how she wants them. It's keeping them away from the gangs. It's keeping them away from ending up in jail or juvenile hall or prison. And then I had commented back, and she had commented back again and said, I get that from my son's dad too. He says I'm too hard on him, etc. But me and him had two different childhoods. I wasted my youth in juvenile hall and CYA until I was 20, and I refused to allow my kids to make the same mistakes. So it may seem as if I'm being hard, but I'm not. It's just me being the protective parent I never had. So I will get a better outcome with them. I agree with that 100%. A lot of people that I met in the prison, and that's why I say that a lot of them joined gangs for because they were seeking love or something was missing in their life. Because that was one of the questions I always asked when I was locked up was why, just to see why they ended up joining a gang or a group. And majority of them, that was the reason why. And a lot of them wish that their parents were tougher on them or kept them away because they wouldn't be doing life or being locked up for decades before they get back out. And few of them even said, like, if I was able to be out there and raise my kids instead of being in here and them growing up on their own, I would never let them out of my sight. I wouldn't let friends be around. And that's why it's something that I speak on. So I don't see how being hard on your kid or sheltering them could be a bad thing. A lot of people that I met that got locked up or ended up in gangs was because their parents were loose with them. They would let them run around the streets. They would let whoever come over to their house. They would let them basically do whatever they wanted because they were scared of hurting their feelings or whatever the reason was. But they would let their kid pretty much do what they wanted. In my experience, that's a bad thing. So, my words to whoever would be you got to be involved with your kid's life. You got to know who's coming around them. Because the only way that you then keep your kid from joining a gang or whatever is then be from constantly being in their life, knowing who they're hanging around with, not allowing them to go just run the streets and run the neighborhood and shit like that. That's where the whole problem starts. Now, other content creators might say different or whatever like that, but I don't see it. They can disagree with me. They can say I'm wrong, but everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Now, like I said, to me, encouraging a kid to drop out of gangs is the wrong way to go. Because nowadays, up north and everywhere else that I see on the news and everywhere else, the actives are killing dropouts, and it's not just the ones that've been to prison or jail. It's any that are trying to leave their hood. So yeah, the start is with keeping them from joining the gang. The solution is in getting them to drop out or leave. Maybe back in the day, people were able to just get jumped out, but nowadays it's not like that. It's not hands on. Nowadays, people are getting stabbed, shot, killed, and it's not just the ones that have been to jail and prison. It's any of them that's trying to leave. So, personally, I wouldn't encourage my kids to drop out. I would encourage them to find some sort of way that they're able to slowly graduate or gravitate out of it, not just going out and telling their gang, "Hey, I don't want to be part of this no more," because that right there is then bring nothing but repercussions. Now, I've met a few people that later in life have moved out of their hood, ended up with jobs, slowly stopped going back to their hood as much, and everything has been fine for them. But a lot of people don't have that opportunity either to be able to just get up and move and leave their area. And for those that do, they're lucky. But if you're going to be stuck staying in your hood, pushing your kid to drop out is not the way to go. You have to figure out some way to be able to transition them out of that area so they could gradually stop going back. That way it's safe for them to be able to move on in life. Because eventually everybody grows up. And when they do, they realize that this agenda they've been pushing isn't what they thought it was. It's not what they were being told. And that's what a lot of these gangs don't like. They don't want to lose their manpower. They don't want to lose the people that are sending them money into the prison system. They don't want to lose their control. And when people start dropping out, that's what it is these people are losing their control. And they start making examples out of these people nowadays. So with that being said, pay attention to who your kids are around. Don't think it's a bad thing to be hard on your kid or sheltering them too much. Because sometimes that's what it takes.